I sat at the edge of our bed watching the city lights flicker against the glass wall, and I whispered, "Arya, do you ever slow down?" She didn't even look up from the tablet in her hands. "Not tonight, baby. Big merger update." I forced a smile. "You said that yesterday. And the day before," she murmured, tapping fast. "But this one is important. It always is." She finally glanced at me, quick, polite, detached. "We'll talk later. I promise." I hated how familiar those words felt. Later. Always later. When she walked into the closet to change, I muttered, "Do you even see me anymore?" She didn't answer, and maybe she didn't hear, but the silence felt deliberate. At breakfast the next morning I tried again. "Arya, can we plan a weekend together? Something small. Just us." Lucas, her COO, stepped into the kitchen before she could respond. "Arya, the Singapore numbers came in. You need to see this." Arya stood immediately. "Bring them to my office." I stared at her. "You're leaving? We haven't even talked." She kissed my cheek mechanically. "Later, love." When they walked out together, Lucas lowered his voice, saying something that made her smile slightly, something I hadn't managed to do in weeks. My stomach twisted. No one noticed immediately when I met him at the cafe. "Dude, you look like hell." "Thanks," I muttered. He leaned forward. "Talk to me. It's Arya. Work comes first. Always." He whistled softly. "You think something's going on?" "I don't know. I just feel invisible." "Have you asked her what's wrong?" I try. She doesn't really answer. Later, Mia joined us and slid into the seat beside me. "You're quieter than usual. What's up?" "Marriage stuff." She raised a brow. "Her job again?" I nodded. "It's like she's married to the company." Mia sighed. "If she's not giving you time, someone else is taking that space." I frowned. "You think Lucas?" "I think you're hurting," she said gently. "And your wife isn't noticing." That night, Arya came home late, her heels clicking sharply across the tiles. "Long day," she said, dropping her bag. "Arya, we need to talk." She froze only a second before answering, "Later?" "I'm exhausted." "No," I said, surprising even myself. "Now." She rubbed her forehead. "Please don't start." "I'm not starting anything. I'm trying to save something." She sighed heavily. "You're overthinking. Everything is fine." I laughed bitterly. "Fine? We barely speak. We're both busy." "I'm not," I snapped. "I'm right here. You just don't look." Her expression hardened. "I have responsibilities." "So do I. I have a responsibility to us." She stepped past me. "Not tonight." The way she brushed by, like I was an inconvenience, burned deeper than any argument. When she disappeared into her office, Lucas's inside jokes echoed in my mind, the way he hovered near her, always informed, always needed. I couldn't remember the last time Arya had needed me. I messaged Noah. "Something's wrong. I can feel it." He replied instantly, "Trust your gut." I didn't want to. I wanted to believe she still loved me enough to see me, hear me, choose me. But every later felt like a brick widening the distance between us. Around midnight she finally emerged. "You're still awake?" "Waiting for you." She hesitated. "I can't talk tonight." "Can't or won't?" She didn't answer. When she turned away again, something inside me cracked. Not loudly but quietly, like the first fracture in glass before it shatters. And I knew, with a heaviness I couldn't shake, that something in our marriage was slipping out of my hands. I stayed on the couch, staring at the door she'd closed. The longer it stayed shut, the more it felt like a wall she'd built while I kept pretending it was temporary. I whispered, "What happened to us?" In the morning, when she rushed around grabbing folders, I asked, "Arya, do you even miss me?" She frowned. "Why would you say that?" "Because I feel like a ghost here." "You're overthinking," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Then her phone buzzed. She checked it and softened instantly. "Lucas?" "Yeah, I'm leaving now." That hurt more than I expected. When she walked out, I didn't follow. I didn't even call her name. Later I met Noah again. After listening to everything, he said, "You're not imagining it." "I keep hoping it's just pressure from work," I murmured. "But she barely looks at me." "Then stop staying quiet. She needs to hear how much this is affecting you." I tried. She brushed it off. Mia passed by and joined us. "She's pulling away," she said bluntly. "And you're pretending it's normal." I rubbed my eyes. "What am I supposed to do?" "Stop waiting for her to choose you," Mia said. "Choose yourself." Her words stayed with me long after I left. That night, when Arya finally got home, I stood in the hallway. "We can't keep going like this," I said. "Something's wrong." She hesitated, eyes tired. "We'll figure it out." But there was hesitation in her voice, like she didn't believe her own promise. And in that moment, I felt the truth settle heavily inside me. The cracks in our marriage were no longer small. They were widening, and soon something would break. I stood there, unsure whether to reach for her or step back, caught between hope and a fear I could not ignore. I stood outside Arya's building holding her favorite takeout, telling myself, "This will help, we just need one good moment." The lobby guard nodded as I walked in, and I whispered, "Please, let tonight be different." On the top floor, her office door was slightly open. I lifted my hand to knock, but stopped when I heard her voice. "Lucas, you can't keep saying things like that," she said, low and tense. Lucas replied, "I'm only saying what you refuse to admit." My chest tightened. I leaned closer. He continued, "He doesn't understand your world, Arya. He slows you down." Arya sighed. "Don't start. Then tell me I'm wrong." There was a long pause. My heart hammered painfully. "You know I can't say that," she whispered. My breath caught. I pushed the door open before I could think. "Can't say what?" Arya jerked back like she'd been burned. "What are you doing here?" I lifted the food weakly. I brought dinner." Lucas crossed his arms, unbothered. "He's early." I glared at him. "I'm her husband. I don't need an appointment." Arya stepped between us. "Stop it. Both of you." "I heard what you said," I told her. "What does he mean that I slow you down?" She rubbed her temples. "It's work talk. You misunderstood." "Then tell me what I misunderstood." Lucas chuckled under his breath. The sound made something inside me snap. "What's funny?" I demanded. He shrugged. "Nothing. Just timing." "Lucas, leave," Arya said sharply. He walked toward the door, brushing past me. "Good luck," he whispered smugly. When the door closed, I turned back to her. "Arya, what's going on between you two?" She stared at me like I had insulted her. "Are you serious right now? You're hiding things. You're closer to him than to me. That's ridiculous." "I heard you." She threw her hands up. "You're insecure. Again." "Insecure?" I repeated, stunned. "I'm your husband. Am I not allowed to question anything?" "You always question the wrong things," she snapped. I blinked, feeling like the floor shook beneath me. "All I want is honesty." "You want drama," she said coldly. "You want attention." I stepped back. "What?" She jabbed a finger toward the door. "You barged in here assuming the worst. You embarrassed me in front of my COO. And he gets to talk about me like I'm a burden? And you say nothing? Because he understands the pressure I'm under." I swallowed hard. "And I don't." "No," she said simply. "You don't." Her words cut deeper than shouting ever could. "So Lucas does?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. It was small, but it was enough. "Arya." Her voice hardened. "Stop twisting things. You're acting weak." The word crushed me. "Weak." "I'm trying," I whispered. "I'm trying to save us." "Then grow up," she said. "Stop imagining betrayal where there isn't any." "But you're hiding something." "I'm hiding nothing," she snapped. "You just can't handle my work relationships." "That's not fair." She turned away. "I don't have time for this." I stared at her, feeling something inside me collapse. "Do you even love me anymore?" She froze. "I don't want to do this conversation. That doesn't answer the question." "I'm tired," she said. "Go home." I laughed bitterly. "Home? You mean the place where I wait alone for someone who barely notices I exist?" Her eyes flickered with something, annoyance, not guilt. "You're making everything worse." "I'm trying," I repeated softly. "Try harder," she murmured, sitting back at her desk. I stood there for several seconds, waiting for her to stop me, call my name, look at me with something other than irritation. She didn't. I walked out slowly, each step heavier than the last. Outside the building, the cold air hit my face. I didn't know where I was going, so I just walked. My phone buzzed. "Mia." "Where are you?" she asked. "At Arya's office." "Did you talk?" I overheard her and Lucas. "Oh God, what did you hear?" "Enough." My voice cracked. "Talk to me," she said gently. I confronted her. She called me insecure. "Weak." Said I'm imagining things. "She said that?" Mia's voice was filled with disbelief. "Yeah. And Lucas." He just stood there, smirking. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I don't know what hurts more," I said, What I heard, or how quickly she blamed me? What did you want her to say? I wanted her to choose me, I whispered. Just once. Mia stayed silent a moment before saying, "Come over. You shouldn't be alone." "No," I murmured. "I need to think." A raindrop landed on my cheek. Then another. Within seconds the sky opened up and rain poured down. I didn't move. "Are you still outside?" Mia asked. "Yeah." "Go home," she pleaded. "I don't even know where home is anymore." "Don't say that." "It's true." My voice shook. I walked in hoping to fix something. Instead, I realized I was the only one trying. "You don't deserve this," she said firmly. "Arya is wrong for treating you like that." I closed my eyes. "I don't know what to feel." "Heartbroken," she said softly. "And you're allowed to be." The rain soaked my clothes, my hair, everything. I didn't care. Mia whispered, "You're not weak. You're hurting." "I feel like a stranger," I whispered, "in my own marriage." I hung up slowly and looked up at the tower where Arya worked, its lights bright against the storm. Somewhere up there she was probably sitting beside Lucas, going over numbers, acting like nothing happened. And there I was, soaking, shaking, alone. For the first time, I wondered if our marriage had already ended long before tonight, and I had been too blind to see it. I didn't expect the night to spiral the way it did. I walked into the penthouse trying to breathe normally, but the air already felt heavy. Arya stood by the window, arms crossed, the city lights painting sharp lines across her face. I tried to sound calm when I said, "We need to talk," but she didn't even look at me. She just muttered, "If this is about earlier, I'm exhausted, Ethan." Her voice was cold, distant, almost mechanical. I felt something in my chest tighten as I stepped closer and whispered, "I'm exhausted too, Arya. From feeling like I don't exist." She finally turned, and the irritation in her eyes hit me harder than I expected. "You keep making everything about you," she snapped. "Every time my job demands more, you act like I'm choosing work over you on purpose." I shook my head, trying to steady myself. "I'm not asking you to choose," I said. "I'm asking you to notice that you're losing me." She scoffed, brushing past me. "You're being dramatic." Again. The words stung, almost enough to shut me up. But not tonight. Tonight something inside me refused to stay silent. I followed her to the kitchen. "Arya, look at us. Look at how we talk to each other now." She opened the fridge, ignored me, then said, "I talk to you normally. You're the one who takes everything personally." I felt heat rising in my throat. "Because nothing about us feels personal anymore," I said. "You're here but you're not with me. You don't share anything. You don't tell me where you go, who you're with, what's bothering you, nothing." She slammed the fridge door shut and finally faced me. "I don't have time for hand-holding," she said. "I'm building something real." Something real. The words echoed in my skull. "So what are we?" I asked softly. "A hobby? A backup plan? Furniture?" She exhaled sharply. "You're being insecure again. That's the real issue here." I stared at her incredulously. "You call it insecurity. I call it being shut out of my own marriage." She stepped closer, her expression colder now. "You're holding me back, Ethan. I don't need emotional obstacles right now." My breath froze. "Obstacles?" I repeated. "That's what I am to you?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Silence filled the kitchen like a storm cloud. Then she said, "Maybe you should sleep in the guest room tonight. We both need space." My heart dropped somewhere deep inside me. "You're serious?" I asked. She nodded once, as though I were an annoying coworker she needed to dismiss. I felt something crack inside me, a slow, painful tear I couldn't stop. "Okay," I whispered. "Guest room." I turned away because my eyes were burning, and I didn't want her to see. When I reached the hallway, her phone buzzed on the counter. A small, sharp vibration. I shouldn't have looked. I know I shouldn't have. But something in me was already unraveling, and when I saw the name Lucas, my heart clenched so tightly it felt like my ribs might break. I picked up the phone with shaking hands. One message glowed on the screen. "I handled Ethan. He won't be a problem." For a moment I couldn't breathe. My pulse roared in my ears as I stared at those words, reading them again and again, trying to make them mean something else. Anything else. I felt heat rush through my body, rage, betrayal, disbelief all tangled together in a single violent wave. I walked back into the kitchen with the phone in my hand. "Arya," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. She turned, eyes narrowing when she saw the phone. "Why are you holding that?" she asked. I held up the screen. "Explain this." She didn't flinch. Not even a little. She walked toward me, took the phone from my hand, locked it, and said, "You had no right to touch my things." I stared at her, stunned. "That's all you have to say?" I asked. "Not even a denial?" She shrugged, expression unreadable. "Lucas and I talk about you sometimes. You've been unstable lately." He was simply reassuring me. My voice broke. "Reassuring you? By telling you I'm not a problem?" She lifted her chin. "You're blowing this out of proportion." Again. I felt my knees weaken. "Do you hear yourself?" I whispered. "Do you even realize what you're doing to me?" She sighed as though the conversation bored her. "I'm done with this tonight," she said. "Go to the guest room. Calm down." I took a step back, heart pounding. "Arya, do you still love me?" I asked. She froze for a moment. Then she looked at me with eyes that held nothing. Absolutely nothing. "I don't have time to answer pointless questions," she said. That was it. The night everything finally snapped. I walked out of the kitchen because staying there felt like standing inside a burning building. I sat down on the cold floor of the hallway, my back against the wall, trying to breathe through the crushing weight in my chest. I buried my face in my hands. My marriage, my life, was slipping away and I couldn't stop it. I felt like a stranger in my own home, in my own heart, in my own story. The silence around me felt thicker than the walls. I had never felt so alone. And for the first time, I wondered if Arya had already left me long before this night ever happened. I woke up with the same ache in my chest, the kind that made it hard to even sit up. I walked into the kitchen and found Arya already dressed for work, sipping her coffee like last night hadn't happened. I swallowed hard and said, "We need to talk." She barely glanced at me. "If this is more drama, Ethan, I don't have the energy." Her tone cut through me, but I forced myself to hold steady. "I'm done fighting," I replied quietly. "I'm leaving." Her hand froze for half a second, but her expression remained blank. "You're overreacting," she said. "Pack a bag if you want. You'll cool off by tonight." I stared at her in disbelief. "You really think this is just another argument?" She shrugged. "You always come back to reason eventually." Something in me snapped. "Reason?" I repeated. "Reason would mean you actually care." She sighed, setting her mug down. "I care about my work. I care about stability. I can't hold your hand through every emotional spiral." I took a shaky breath. "I'm not asking for hand-holding. I'm asking not to be treated like a burden." "Then stop acting like one," she said flatly. Her words landed like a final blow. I whispered, "So that's it. That's what I am to you." She didn't answer, didn't soften, didn't reach for me. She just looked at her watch. That was the moment I realized she wasn't going to fight for me. Not now. Maybe not ever. I walked to the bedroom, opened the closet, and pulled out a suitcase. Arya followed me to the doorway but didn't step inside. "Ethan, this is ridiculous," she said. "You're being impulsive." I folded shirts mechanically, my hands trembling. "I'm leaving before I lose myself completely." She leaned against the doorframe. "So you're running away now?" I turned to face her. "No. I'm choosing myself for once." She rolled her eyes. "You always make everything sound dramatic." I laughed bitterly. "And you always make everything sound meaningless." She crossed her arms. "You won't last 2 days without this place." I zipped the suitcase shut. "Watch me." She scoffed. "You're not actually walking out on our marriage." I lifted the bag. "What marriage?" I asked. "You ended it long before I packed this suitcase." Her expression flickered. Annoyance, maybe something else, but she stayed silent. I walked past her, heart pounding, legs weak. At the door I paused. "Arya," I said softly, "I would have stayed if you just asked me to." She looked right at me. "I'm not begging anyone to stay." That was it. The last thread cut clean. I stepped out, closed the door behind me, and felt the quiet collapse of everything I'd once believed in. The elevator felt too small, too silent, too cold. When I stepped outside, the air struck me like a slap. I dialed Mia immediately. She answered on the first ring. "Ethan? What happened?" "Your voice?" I exhaled shakily. "I left." "You left the penthouse?" she asked. "No," I whispered. "I left the marriage." There was a long pause before she said gently, "Come to my place." When I walked into her living room, she took one look at my face and pulled me into a tight hug. "Tell me everything," she said. I sank onto the couch, unable to hold back anymore. "She didn't care, Mia. I told her I was leaving and she told me I'd cool off." Mia sat beside me, eyes soft. "Did you expect her to suddenly turn into someone else?" "I expected her to show something," I said. "Anything." Mia touched my arm. Ethan, you've been breaking for months. You need to choose yourself now. I rubbed my face. I don't know who I am without her. She shook her head. You'll figure it out, but not if you stay with someone who drains you. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. I feel like I failed. Mia leaned forward. No. You tried. She didn't. Her words hit deeper than I expected. For hours we talked, about everything Arya had dismissed, ignored or shut down. At some point I whispered, do you think she'll call? Mia hesitated before saying, if she does, it won't be because she suddenly cares. It'll be because she hates losing control. That stung because I knew she was right. The next morning I booked a long-term rental in a small, quiet town 2 hours away. Forest, lakes, silence, things I'd forgotten existed. Mia helped me load my luggage into her car. Are you sure about this? She asked. I need to breathe, I said. I can't do that there. On the drive she said, talk to someone professional. You've carried too much alone. I nodded, though it felt strange. Therapy wasn't something I ever imagined needing. But I felt empty, unstable, shattered in ways I didn't understand. When we reached the rental it felt surreal, wooden floors, old furniture, the clean smell of pine. I dropped my bags and whispered, what now? Mia gave a small smile. Now you heal. The next day I searched for a therapist and found Dr. Grant. His voice on the phone was warm, steady. Come in tomorrow, he said. We'll start slow. Walking into his office felt like stepping into a safe place I didn't know I needed. He listened as I tried to explain everything. You sound like someone who's been emotionally starved, he said gently. My throat tightened. I feel stupid for not seeing it sooner. He shook his head. It's not stupidity. It's hope. Hope. I hadn't felt that in a long time. Days passed quietly. I cooked simple meals, walked near the lake, tried to understand myself again. I checked my phone often, though I hated that I did. Arya called once, one missed call, no message. Then nothing. I stared at that single missed call for an hour before finally turning off my phone. She never cared, I told myself. But deep inside something whispered, then why did she call at all? I pushed the thought away. I needed distance. I needed healing. I needed to learn how to be someone who didn't beg to be seen. For the first time in years the silence felt like freedom. I was halfway through my morning coffee when Mia called. Ethan, did you see this? She asked, her voice tight like she was holding back disbelief. See what? I asked, already feeling a tight knot form in my stomach. Arya's company, it's all over the news, she said. Stocks are plummeting. Investors are panicking. Lucas is behind all of it. I froze, staring at my mug as if it could explain everything. Lucas. I whispered. You mean the guy who was always in her ear? Yes, Mia said. Apparently he's been making these aggressive changes. Cutting people off, pushing her out of decisions. The board, everyone looks terrified. She's losing control. I couldn't move for a moment. So, she never had real power anymore? I asked, my voice breaking a little. No. Lucas was running the show while she thought she was in charge, Mia said, her words sharp with frustration. It's shocking, Ethan. Absolutely shocking. I ran my hand through my hair, leaning back in my chair. And she never saw it? Doesn't seem like it, Mia said. She thinks she's still the CEO calling the shots, but everything's collapsing. I swallowed. The news was surreal. For months I'd been quietly rebuilding my life, but part of me had been watching. Not with hope, not with joy, but with curiosity. How does someone so invincible on the outside crumble without even noticing? She sent you messages, Mia added quietly. I saw a few. She wants to meet, explain, fix things. I shook my head. I'm not going back, I said firmly. Not now. Not ever. She made her choices. I made mine. You sure? Mia asked. I mean, it's hard, I get it. But people make mistakes. No, I interrupted. This isn't about mistakes anymore. This is karma. Lucas has been controlling her, and now the consequences are unfolding without me doing anything. I exhaled slowly. And I'm learning that I don't need to be part of her mess to survive. Mia was quiet for a moment, then said softly, I'm proud of you, Ethan. You're really changing. I smiled faintly, though a strange ache remained in my chest. Thanks, I said. But it's weird. I don't feel happy exactly. I feel reflective. About who I was when I loved her. Mia's voice was gentle. That's normal. Loving someone leaves marks even when it ends. But look at you, you're not the same man anymore. You're stronger, calmer, awake. I rubbed my temples. Yet, awake, I muttered. But I can't deny I miss a version of myself. The one who believed in her, who thought we had something special. I miss being naive in love. That version of you is still in there, Mia said. But it's smarter now. More careful. You've rebuilt from nothing, Ethan. That's huge. I let out a long sigh. I just keep seeing headlines, hearing about resignations, investors fleeing, lawsuits, all the chaos. And Lucas, he's smiling through it all. But Arya, she looks like she's drowning. Mia's voice was firmer now. Good. She finally understands the cost of letting people manipulate her. And you get to live your life without being part of that. I nodded, though the tight ache in my chest persisted. It's strange, I said. I don't feel vindictive. I don't want her to suffer. But I also don't feel sad. I just watch it happen and think about what I've gained. Distance. Clarity. Some peace. Exactly, Mia said. You're learning that life moves on even when people who hurt you face consequences. You don't need to intervene. I glanced out the window, watching the town wake up around me. Quiet streets, small shops opening, people rushing to work. A world apart from the skyscrapers and boardrooms Arya inhabited. I felt a warmth rise in me, like sunlight after a long storm. I'm slowly getting there, I said. Step by step. Mia chuckled. Step by step is all anyone can do. And look at you, you're doing more than most would. 4 hours we talked about everything, about her messages, about Lucas's rise, about the resignations. I realized I hadn't checked my phone in days. I picked it up and saw several missed calls and texts from Arya. None of them mattered. I ignored them. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but because I didn't belong there anymore. I belonged here in this quiet town rebuilding me. I laughed softly, almost at myself. It's funny, isn't it? I used to feel desperate to hear from her, to be noticed, to be loved. And now, nothing. Funny, yes, Mia said. And liberating. Yes, I admitted. But liberating has a sting. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about the man I was when I still believed in her. And that man, he was soft. Vulnerable. Maybe too much. Vulnerable can be strength, Mia said. You just learn to protect it better now. I nodded. I guess. Therapy helps. Walking every morning, cooking, doing small things, it all adds up. I feel pieces of myself coming back, though some of the pain lingers. That ache is not for her. It's for the boy I was, the man I thought I needed to be for her. Exactly, Mia said. And that man needed to grow. He needed this distance to see himself. I stared at my hands, turning them over slowly. I don't know if she'll ever understand. Maybe she'll keep thinking she had it all under control. And maybe she never will, Mia said. But you'll be fine. Stronger than ever. And that ache? It'll fade. I smiled faintly, finally allowing myself a quiet moment of satisfaction. Not triumph, not revenge, just understanding. Karma had begun its work without me touching it. And I, for the first time in years, felt like I could breathe. The knock at the door was tentative, almost hesitant. I paused mid-sip of my coffee, staring at the small worn rug beneath my feet. Who? I started, my voice trailing off. Ethan, came the soft, trembling reply. I froze. That voice. I hadn't expected it, not here, not now. I set the mug down carefully and opened the door. Arya stood there, her hair messy, eyes red-rimmed, trembling hands gripping her bag like a lifeline. Please, just let me in, she whispered. I stepped aside, letting her into the small apartment. You found me, I said, keeping my tone neutral. I had to, she stammered, looking anywhere but at me. I need to explain everything. I gestured to the couch. Sit. Speak. She sank onto the cushions, hunched, like the weight of the world pressed her into them. I don't even know where to start, she admitted. I was blind, Ethan. You let Lucas control everything, I said calmly. You let him manipulate decisions, people, me. And you watched it happen. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I didn't know. I thought I was protecting us, protecting myself. He twisted everything. He made me believe I was weak for loving you, for needing you. I folded my arms, sitting across from her, listening. My heart fluttered, but I stayed steady. And yet you still pushed me away, I said. I was scared, she cried. Scared of losing control, scared of showing vulnerability. I didn't want to be weak, Ethan. I thought pushing you away was the only way to stay strong. I inhaled slowly, letting the words sink in. So your idea of strength was letting me suffer? Her head hung low. I didn't see it at the time. I was so consumed with fear and pride. I didn't realize I was losing you. She looked up, her eyes desperate. I am losing you, aren't I? I'm not sure what I am anymore, I admitted. I'm here listening, but the man who begged for a chance, he's gone. She flinched, the raw honesty hitting her. Do you hate me? I paused, choosing my words carefully. No, I don't hate you. I'm just done hurting. Her shoulders slumped. Done hurting? She echoed, like tasting a bitter truth. I thought if I explained you'd understand, you'd forgive? I shook my head slowly. Understanding doesn't fix what happened. Forgiveness doesn't erase the years of distance, the sleepless nights, the feeling of being invisible in my own life. I know, she whispered. And I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed you to know the truth. Lucas, he lied, manipulated, made me doubt everything, even my love for you. I was trapped in a maze I built for myself. I remained silent for a long moment, letting her words fill the apartment. The storm outside mirrored my emotions. Heavy rain tapping against the windows, clouds blotting out the sun, tension hanging in the air. She took a shaky breath. I begged, I chased, I shut down everything when I lost you. I thought if I could make you see me, if I could control it all, we'd survive. But I failed. You failed me when I needed you, I said quietly. I needed a partner, not a shadow of someone afraid of their own heart. Tears fell freely now, and she wiped them angrily with the back of her hand. I didn't want to hurt you, Ethan. I never wanted to lose you. You did lose me, I said softly. And even now I feel empathy, Arya. But empathy isn't enough to go back. Her lips quivered. I don't deserve it, do I? No, I said honestly. You deserve accountability. You deserve the consequences of your choices. But you don't deserve my hatred. That's not where I am anymore. Her eyes searched mine, pleading. So, there's nothing left? Nothing at all? I shook my head. Not for us. I can't rebuild a life on promises that came too late. I can care about you, I can feel for you, but I cannot let myself go back into pain. She closed her eyes, letting the truth sink in. I should have fought for us differently, she whispered. I should have trusted you more than my fear. I leaned back, feeling the strange weight of closure pressing down. Maybe. But life doesn't give second chances just because we wish it would. We live with the choices we make. Her voice broke, soft and desperate. I thought love would save me. I thought we could survive anything. But I see now, it was me who didn't survive me. I understand, I said, my tone calm, resolute. And I wish you strength. But I am not part of your survival anymore. She looked at me one last time, tears glistening in her eyes, broken and raw. Do you hate me? She asked again, barely audible. I shook my head. No, I don't hate you. I'm just done hurting. Her shoulders slumped, the fight leaving her body. I hope you find peace, she whispered. Even if it's not with me. I nodded. I will. You should too. Learn from this. Grow. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She simply stood, slowly gathering herself, and walked to the door. Her hand lingered on the knob before she finally stepped outside. I heard the soft click of the lock behind her, then silence. I sank into the couch, staring at the floor. The ache in my chest had softened but didn't disappear entirely. Empathy had replaced anger, understanding had replaced despair, but the space between us was unbridgeable now. For the first time in months I felt calm. I was free. I first saw the news on my phone while sipping my morning coffee. The headline read, CO Arya Hale shuts down empire to find missing husband. I blinked, rereading it, thinking it must be a joke. But the photos were real. Arya, phone pressed to her ear, walking through an empty office lobby, her heels echoing on the polished floors. I muttered, she's serious. Dr. Grant, sitting across from me, raised an eyebrow. You've been keeping up with the news? I shrugged. I can't help it. It's her. She shut down a multi-billion-dollar company because of you? He asked, incredulous. Apparently, I said. She's gone everywhere we ever went together. Cafes, galleries, even that little park by the river. She's desperate. Dr. Grant leaned forward. And how does that make you feel? I exhaled slowly. Confused. Stunned. And a little guilty. You shouldn't carry guilt for leaving someone who hurt you, he said gently. I know, I admitted. But seeing her like this, it's like the Arya I thought I knew is gone, replaced by someone I don't recognize. And yet, I see glimpses of the woman I loved. It's hard to reconcile. I checked my phone again. Notifications were exploding, staff resignations, investor statements, Media frenzy. The CEO who lost everything for love was trending globally. I rubbed my eyes. She's paying the price. All of it. Dr. Grant nodded. And are you glad? Or is it more complicated than that? I hesitated. It's complicated. I feel relief but also sadness. She's chasing a ghost, and it's unraveling her world. I didn't wish this. But part of me can't deny that it's just karma, I guess. Then my phone rang. It was Mia. Ethan, have you seen this? I tapped the screen. A video from Elena, the journalist we'd met a few months ago, played. Lucas, caught in confidential company files, was exposed as the one who orchestrated multiple sabotages. Investor meetings, employee bribes, false press releases, he did it all. I couldn't help a small smirk. Finally. Mia's voice was calm but satisfied. Justice. But Arya is still hurting. She fired him, yes, but the damage is global. I see that, I said, scrolling through the flood of comments and articles. Arya's reputation was intact, but the public and employees were shaken. Her company would recover eventually, but it was a brutal lesson. Dr. Grant looked at me knowingly. You're watching this unfold, detached, but you're also processing old guilt. I nodded. I carried so much blame for leaving her. I blamed myself for the fights, for the distance, for everything. But now I see she created her own consequences. It's still painful to watch, but I don't feel the weight as much. Mia called again. She went to the park we used to visit on Sundays. She asked every cafe if I'd been there. She's relentless. I couldn't help the tiny laugh that escaped me. She never gave up. Do you want to see her? Dr. Grant asked. No, I said firmly. I don't want to be found. This has to be her lesson, not mine. She'll come to terms with herself eventually. The rain started tapping against the window. I watched the drops slide down the glass, thinking about all the mornings we spent together, all the conversations, all the arguments. Arya's obsession with me now felt like a mirror showing everything I'd lost, not just with her but with myself before I left. Elena's video kept playing. Lucas, smug at first, now looked cornered, humiliated, and defeated. The public knew the truth. Investors demanded his resignation immediately. I muttered, he got what he deserved. Finally. Dr. Grant smiled faintly. And Arya? I shook my head. She'll survive. But it's going to be brutal. She's proud, she's determined, and she has to face her own mistakes. Watching it, it's like seeing a storm I once feared now crash and recede. Mia's voice softened. I know it's hard to watch. But Ethan, you've done the right thing. You chose yourself. I closed my eyes. I did. And I don't regret it. But it still hurts to see someone I cared about spiral. Dr. Grant leaned back. It's part of moving on. Empathy without self-destruction. You're learning to feel compassion without being consumed. I nodded slowly. I think I'm finally letting go of the weight I carried for so long. I don't need to fix her, save her, or come back. I can just witness. The headlines continued to flood my phone. Arya's search, Lucas's exposure, the staff resignations, the public outrage. I felt detached yet attentive, like watching a play I had no part in but couldn't look away from. Mia sighed softly on the other line. It's over for you, Ethan. But it's just beginning for her. I know, I said quietly. And maybe that's how it should be. She'll learn what I learned the hard way. Love isn't control and power isn't protection. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the rain. The guilt, the heartbreak, the anger, they were still there but lighter, manageable. I whispered to myself, she has to find herself now. I found me. Somewhere in the distance, Arya's heels clicked against the pavement. She was searching, relentless as always. But I stayed inside, calm, patient, and free. Finally, I allowed myself to smile. The knock at my door was soft, tentative, almost hesitant. I didn't look up immediately. Part of me expected another solicitor, a mistake, someone wanting something from me. Then I heard it. Ethan, it's me. I froze. The voice was familiar, unmistakable. Arya. My chest tightened, but I didn't rise. I let the silence stretch a moment, measuring whether I wanted this encounter. You can ignore me if you want, she continued softly. I need to say something. I finally looked up. Her hair was pulled back, her eyes tired, shadows beneath them. She wasn't the fiery, untouchable CEO I knew. She looked human, fragile, maybe even broken. I'm listening, I said, my voice calm but measured. Arya took a shaky breath. Ethan, I owe you the truth. No excuses this time. No work, no Lucas, no stupid pride. I hurt you. I failed you. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I stayed silent for a moment, letting the words settle, letting the weight of months, maybe years, compress into this single apology. I didn't feel anger anymore, not like before. Only clarity. I've waited to hear that for a long time, I finally said. But it doesn't undo anything, Arya. It doesn't bring back the nights I cried alone, wondering if I was invisible to the person I loved most. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't flinch. I know I destroyed so much between us. I can't change the past. But I needed to be honest before I lost the chance entirely to say it. I nodded slowly. It matters that you're honest now. But honesty doesn't mean I can go back. I can't. I wouldn't be me if I returned to that life. I changed. I grew. Tears threatened to spill down her cheeks, but she swallowed them. I see it. You're different, stronger. I can feel it. And I'm proud of you, even if it took me too long to realize it. I allowed a small, almost imperceptible smile. It's strange, isn't it? How pain can shape someone. You made me suffer, yes, but you also made me see what I could become if I chose myself first. If I chose to be free from someone who didn't value me properly. Arya bit her lip, voice trembling. Do you hate me? I shook my head. I don't hate you. I can't. You were part of my life, and the lessons I learned, they were painful but necessary. I'm grateful for the truth finally, but I can't go back. Not now, not ever. She stepped closer, tentative, as if afraid I might vanish. I wish I could undo it all. The betrayal, the distance, the coldness. I wish I'd realized sooner that losing you was my fault. I know, I said softly. And you did realize. Maybe too late for us, but not too late for yourself. I hope you can find peace, Arya. Really, I do. A tear slipped down her cheek this time. She swallowed, steadied herself, and whispered, You were the best part of me. I'm sorry I realized it too late. I felt no anger, no bitterness. Just acceptance. The years of pain, the sleepless nights, the questions that haunted me, they were fading. All that remained was the understanding that I survived. I was stronger, wiser, and finally, free. Thank you for being honest, I said, my voice steady. It's more than I expected, and it's enough. Goodbye, Arya. She nodded, a single movement, slow, deliberate, like a bow to the finality of it all. Goodbye, Ethan. The door closed gently behind her, and the quiet in my apartment felt different, lighter, more spacious. I sank into my chair, exhaling a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. It wasn't the release of triumph over her, nor revenge. It was the release of myself, from resentment, from heartbreak, from the person I used to be. I picked up my coffee again, now cold, and smiled. A small, real smile, unforced. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. The freedom wasn't about her. It was about me. My choices, my growth, my life unshackled from someone who never truly saw me. I thought of the journey, the arguments, the tears, the loneliness, the confrontation with truth. Every moment had led to this calm, this clarity. I had loved, I had lost, I had learned, and I had finally become the man I was meant to be. I whispered into the quiet apartment, This is the end of that story, and the beginning of mine. Later, I walked to the balcony, looked at the skyline stretching into the night, and felt it, the kind of peace that comes when you've truly let go. The past was behind me. The weight lifted. And for the first time in a long time, I could smile fully and freely, knowing that the pain I endured had shaped me into someone stronger, someone whole, someone truly alive. And I knew without a doubt that freedom, not revenge, had been the greatest victory of all. The morning sunlight spilled through the blinds, warm and unassuming. I stretched, feeling muscles I hadn't noticed tense for years finally loosen. The apartment smelled faintly of coffee and new beginnings. I wasn't sure why the smell felt comforting. Maybe because it meant I had stayed up last night planning instead of stewing in regrets. Mia. I called into the kitchen, smiling. Don't tell me you've already taken my mug again. She laughed, that familiar sound that had slowly become part of my life, soothing rather than complicated. I might have. But only because yours always tastes better than mine, she teased, holding up her own cup like a trophy. I walked over and wrapped my arms around her shoulders. You know, it's nice, waking up without thinking about past mistakes or heartbreak. I'm starting to enjoy mornings again. Mia leaned into me. You deserve it, Ethan. You've worked hard to get here. Don't let anyone, even your past, take this from you. I nodded. I know. It's just, sometimes I catch myself thinking about Arya, wondering if I did the right thing. But then I remember every cold look, every dismissive word, and I know I chose me. Finally. Mia smiled softly. And that's all that matters. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved, Ethan. You've done enough. I poured coffee for both of us, trying not to dwell on the lingering ache that sometimes flickered unexpectedly. You know, it's funny. I used to think I couldn't survive without her. That my world would crumble if she ever left. Now, I feel stronger than I ever did with her. Pain has a way of teaching us things we wouldn't learn otherwise, Mia said, her tone thoughtful. And look at you, you're still standing. Stronger, wiser, more in control than ever. I smiled, feeling a genuine warmth in my chest. Yeah, and I'm ready to actually live my life. No regrets, no lingering what-ifs. Just me, finally choosing myself. Later that week, I found a job at a small firm in the city. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I could take ownership, make decisions, and build a life on my own terms. Every email sent, every meeting handled, felt like reclaiming a part of myself I had lost. During lunch, I texted Mia. Meet me at the park after work? I feel like celebrating small victories. Her reply was immediate, I'll be there. Can't wait to see the new you in action. I laughed quietly, thinking how strange it was to feel excited about someone showing up just to sit in the sun and share a sandwich. But it felt right. Peaceful. Real. The phone rang later that evening. My heart skipped a beat when I saw Aria's name, but I didn't panic. I answered calmly. Ethan. I wanted to hear your voice. I'm stepping down from the company, she said, her voice quiet, humbled. I started therapy. Trying to understand why I let it all fall apart. I listened, holding the phone loosely in my hand. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself, Aria. That's important. She hesitated. Do you forgive me? I let out a slow breath. Yes, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean we go back. It means I let go of the weight I carried for too long. I hope you can do the same for yourself. Her voice cracked slightly. Thank you, Ethan, for everything. I truly am sorry. Goodbye. Goodbye, Aria, I said softly, feeling a strange calm settle over me. The conversation ended, but I didn't feel sadness. I felt closure. That night I met Mia at the park. The sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and rose. I took her hand, feeling the warmth and steadiness of someone who wasn't a source of pain or doubt. You okay? She asked, watching me quietly. I am, I said. Better than I've ever been. The past taught me lessons I couldn't have learned any other way. And now, I get to start my life again without carrying anyone else's baggage. She squeezed my hand gently. I'm glad you're choosing yourself, Ethan. You deserve this happiness. We sat there, sharing sandwiches and laughter, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The air was filled with possibility, not regret. As the first stars began to appear, I whispered to myself, this time, I choose myself. And I meant it. The chapters of pain, betrayal, and heartbreak had ended. What lay ahead was mine to write, and for the first time in years I felt truly free.